Hello there, right here guys. We have a brand new snapshot for the Java edition. This is 22W13A. This is going to be for 1.19, the wild update. In this update, we get the new Allay mob, plus we get these new secret redstone rooms hidden inside of the ancient cities. And at the end of the video, we'll talk about other Minecraft news. We got a lot to go over today, so make sure guys to leave a like and let's get started. In the Java edition, we got the ancient cities once again in the snapshot. Besides having the same features as they had before, like mobs not being able to spawn, as well as having the big portal, they also came in with some changes to the actual structures. Here you can see they added in some new wool. In some of these corridors, we got the light blue. We also got some dark oak planks and logs to bring a little bit of color to these different areas. Some of these structures kind of look like mine shafts that kind of connect different pieces, where before we just had nothing in between here, so it looked kind of strange, but now it makes a little bit more sense. So it looks more kind of like a fortress, and some parts of it were made out of wood, kind of like they're repairing it, but then the wood obviously decays, and for the most part there's not very much of it. Now, besides new blocks, they also tweaked the actual structures. Like we got this cool structure right here, which kind of sits all by itself, but there's loot inside of here, and you can see they went ahead and also tweaked the type of loot that's inside, so there is a lot more variety. And with this one, we can go up these stairs and go to the top part here. You can see we also got some disc in here, compass, some enchanting books, enchanted gold apples, just a lot of really cool stuff. We also got this kind of very vertical fortress that completely fell to pieces, so there's not much left of it, but we got a chest up here. And once again, the swift sneak can only be obtained from these chests. Here's some of the variety of loot that you can see in the ancient city different chests. We got some regen bottles, which are great for taking on the warden. We also got, of course, different types of enchanting books, diamond leggings, which can have different types of enchantments, as well as iron leggings, different skulk stuff, different music discs, including the other side one, which we typically only see in strongholds and dungeons, leads, saddles, horse armor, just a real variety of cool things, and even diamond hose, which have really good enchantments on them. They also got this new structure here, which is called the ice box, which has its own loot table separate from the rest of them. Notice how you walk up here, you step in these pressure plates and it activates these note blocks. We also got some ice over here. We got a pressure plate here, which has a trap door. And if you go down inside, you can see that there is a bunch of ice with a chest here with some different loot. Now, there isn't really any secret redstone going on. There is a lever here, which is constantly keeping this trap door open. So I guess this could be a nice place to kind of run and hide from the warden. So here you can see some of the loot that you can get from the icebox chest, including different types of suspicious food. Also a good food source to take on the warden, snowballs to distract the warden, blocks to stack with. So kind of like a panic room. Now with the big portal, they did change underneath of it. If we look underneath of here, there is a bunch of redstone, and each of these redstone are kind of in their own little room. So in this room here, we can see we got some basic redstone components, teaching people how redstone works. Like it goes through this solid block, but doesn't go through this transparent glass block. This is something I've always requested, is that they kind of add in the game, teaching players how to use the basics of redstone. Let's go out of this room and let's go into a different room. We got a room over here, and this one is showing how a lectern, if you put a book in it, can activate this redstone. And on the opposite side, we got a target block, teaching people if they hit the target block, it'll power this redstone and will activate this redstone lamp. In this room over here, there's quite a bit of redstone, teaching people about different types of gates you can produce in the game, like the OR gate or the AND gate. We got a skulk sensor over here. To activate the skulk sensor, it's going to produce a redstone power. I'll just go ahead and turn it on with this lever so we can see what's happening. So when powered, it sends a pulse through, which goes through each of these two circuits, and then this circuit eventually goes over to here, and then this way, and this one does as well, and it both goes over here. And all this actually goes to a redstone door that will let you inside of this area if you don't decide to break in. And this door is positioned right underneath of the big portal. You can see it right here. These were blocked off. And when we activated, these pistons pulled and opened this door up. It's a very complicated redstone circuit to do something very simple, but they're just trying to teach players different ways to use redstone. Between the delays and the extending of pulses and the memory circuits, there's a lot to redstone. So I'm really excited to see them add this into here. Now there is some rooms that don't really have anything in them, like this room here is pretty much empty currently, and so is this one here. So the real question is, does this redstone stuff stuff that's going on underneath have any association to do with the redstone lamp poles that are out here, or anything to do with lighting this portal. But what do you guys think? Do you think this will have some part to do with it? Now, I did notice that there is a hole in here which takes you directly down inside. So maybe they purposely left this hole in so players can find that bottom piece without tearing their way into it. But this bottom part below the portal can actually have 3 different looks. So the one that we looked at, there's also this one here, where in this main room, instead of having the different types of gates, we got some comparator logic, reading what's like inside of containers, putting outputs, putting it into like a comparator clock, seeing how far that goes, and then eventually going to the door. Now in the third version of it, it looks very similar to the second one, which is the same type of setup, except we don't have that comparator reading that furnace over here. Instead we have comparator clock, and then we have it going directly to the door. And the other small rooms are the same. The fronts of these portals are also different, where that one had gates. This one has a single chest with a single golden carrot. Maybe it has to do something with how to light this portal. And this one is kind of barren, doesn't have anything special up front. Soul Sand flames are very obvious, and they're nice and flat and straight, unlike before where they were kind of like a divot. So they did change this bottom portion of the whole portal area, but they kept the ears loopy. Now you're no longer able to actually push the reinforced deep slate. So it's really starting to look like a portal, similar to like the end portal frames. And once again, we can actually look at the exact names which are given to these different structures. We see words like barricades, camp, chambers, there's an icebox, large pillars and runes, there's a sauna, a small portal statue, but for the most part they have very basic names. Go ahead and kill a cow near one of these catalysts. We get this brand new advancement, and this is called It Spreads, killing a mob near a skull catalyst. It's under advancements, and it is considered a pretty high tier as it has the purple text. Now they also changed the Skulk Shriekers, so the ones that spawn in the deep dark biome will have the ability to summon in wardens. So you can see one of the guys is summoned right there, but the Shriekers placed by a player cannot actually summon in the warden. So you can't like take this to your base and get a bunch of wardens to be summoned in, which is a little bit sad for people who want to make kind of like a cool base that's being protected by wardens. They also changed some game events so that they're more consistent, so all of these got changed to that. And they also switched over all the different weird like button presses and switching and that kind of thing that the Skulk sensor did. Now they're just going to use the terms of block activated as well as block deactivated. They also did this to a bunch of miscellaneous different events, which now use general terms that can be applied to most things. Let me know if you have any questions about the Warden or the Ancient Cities. Now before, in order to craft something like a chest minecart, you had to make sure that the chest was above the minecart in the crafting grid. But now they change it so that they are shapeless, so it doesn't matter where you put it, it will produce that item, just like how the chest boats work. Now something that I requested to do with the chest boats is when they are destroyed, they drop as a single item. That is really useful, but now they also apply that to the minecart. Every type of combination of these guys, when broken down in survival, will produce a single item that can be easily placed back down using something like a dispenser. So now we can have full automation. Seems like the command one doesn't actually drop the item, so that's probably a bug. Guys, we finally got the Allay for the Java edition, which is amazing, and it makes some really interesting noises. It sounds kind of like Mystic Chime. These guys have all the features that we talked about before, like giving them some items in their hands, and then their ability to find those items around the area and then bring them to you and drop them off. They also can be connected to different note blocks for 30 seconds, and then we'll take all their items to that area. Now I've already designed some Allay sorters for the Bedrock edition, so we'll have to see if those will work the same way here in the Java edition. They can't tell the difference between different enchantment books or what's inside of shulker box. When you give them an item, they make kind of a high-pitched noise, and they can't tell if the item has enchantments on it or not. And they can't tell the difference between different types of tipped arrows, but they're still going to be really good at sorting out the majority of different types of unstackables. Wow, the Allays are really good at following you. Look at these guys, they're way off in the distance. They're still coming towards me, even though I'm in spectator mode. As far as I could tell, the Allay aren't really that scared of the red sheep. If you guys have any specific questions about the Allays, ask me in the comments and I'll try to answer it in a future video. I also tweaked it so that wool as well as wool carpet will now be the only blocks that can actually stop sound from coming from a note block. This is useful when trying to get some Allays to be associated with different note blocks. Now, besides all these cool changes that we've seen today, they also fixed some bugs from the previous snapshots. So let's take a look at those. I showed some cool tricks about the Warden, including that the Warden wouldn't actually cross rails. This was considered a bug and has now been changed. You can't use these rails in order to cheese kill it. Now, the color of the frog is associated with the different types of biomes. And in cold biomes, there's supposed to be green frogs, but instead, a lot of different cold biomes were actually producing orange frogs. This has now been changed. Something I mentioned in my snapshot review is that tadpoles in buckets weren't actually working with dispensers, and now they will. They also now made it so the frogs are needed in order to get the 2x2 advancement, which is breeding every type of animal. Furnaces and other cookers weren't actually cooking anything in the top slot, even if these flames showed that there was fuel in it. But instead was only working if there was actually items down below. This has now been resolved, so it's worked like previous versions. When in the crafting recipes, all the boats are under one section. This wasn't so for the boat chests, so now they will also be just like boats. With a normal boat, the mobs sit perpendicular to the way the boat is facing. This wasn't so with chest boats as they were sitting parallel, so that's been changed to be like normal boats. If you would break a chest boat in creative, it didn't drop the stuff that was inside of it. They resolved some Z-fighting issues. Z-fighting is when there is 2 layers and the game can't decide which one to show, so it ends up kind of jumping between 2 of them. The first one fixed was the feet of the frogs, also in the frog's mouth. The Warden was missing some glowing on one of its arms. They fixed the pixels here on the chest and side of the chest boats, as this lock was slightly up too high. They resolved a crash which was occurring with the Warden being in lava. They fixed the setting in the chat so that it looks normal now. The Bedrock Edition preview also got an update which brings the Warden to the Bedrock Edition. It's introduced with all the same features that we've seen in the Java Edition. So with the Warden in place, we can see how it interacts with the new copper goat horns. Let's go ahead and play a couple of these goat horns. Doesn't seem to have any effect on this guy. Bedrock also got ancient cities for the first time, which have noticeable features like the loot in the chest and the mysterious reinforced deep slate portal in the center of the city. Now check out this series where I'm designing a farm to automatically farm every item in the game in Minecraft, or this one all about complex redstone machines. Remember to follow me on Twitter where I post in real life photos, as well as let you guys know about new videos and streams. And we're getting ever closer to 6,000 followers over there, so thank you everyone who's followed. Thank you all for making it to the end of the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!